Okay, so I bought this thing back in 2020 at some point, and I noticed on the bottom of it there was a crack in the actual metal casting, the base. It was just ahead of the front axle. And I already thinking about disassembling one of these Hot Wheels gassers to make a more realistic, sort of spindly front straight axle suspension the way it should have been instead of this big giant block. By the way, I understand, of course, it's because of safety standards for children and whatnot that they can't be small little metal pieces that could break off easily or whatever. But the point is, I wanted to do something that was a little more photorealistic, and so this is kind of how I went about doing that. I drilled this thing apart with that broken casting on the bottom there, popped out the front wheels, and then I actually ground down and basically eliminated the entire, what you're looking at right here, that big rectangle underneath, that big metal heavy brick that's underneath the front of Hot Wheels gassers that looks absolutely ridiculous. That's what I eliminated. So basically, if you look right here, it looks like a small straight front axle. Even from the bottom, it looks a little more realistic. Not by much, but there's a tie rod and an axle. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It's not exactly accurate, but it's better than Hot Wheels representation was. And I gave it blue headlights. Does still roll. Green center caps up front. I painted the velocity stacks as well. Actually, I didn't paint them. I used a marker to darken them to make them look more like velocity stacks. And so you can see from this angle that it's a completely different look. It's a lot more photorealistic than, look at, see, they were back to the Hot Wheels one. That's just, it's silly. It's the opposite of what it was. It was a lightweight, very spindly, basic suspension that would save you weight. And especially on the front axle, that was key. Cars were already very heavy in the front. Oh, speaking of which, so let me explain this, by the way. So little too short refers to the Chevy 2 is what these little small Novas were called. But also, little too short is because of the altered wheelbase. So if you actually look at the rear wheels on these, there's something seems to be quite off. It's not just the fact that it's jacked up front. So this is actually a gasser altered wheelbase dragster. So you're combining two wacky things that they did back in the day. One of them was the altered wheelbase, where they would literally cut the car up and move the rear wheel forward so as to give you better weight distribution. The car launches harder. There's a whole science behind it. Look up altered wheelbase. But anyway, so there it is. There's a custom Nova. Nothing amazing, but a little side project.